Okay, this is just a review of Intro to Technology. So we have some objectives, and if you look there, it's just some basic understanding of the technology building blocks, which is how technology is designated and categorized. What does technology mean, and how we interact with it? So first off, what is technology? And a simple definition is technology is the practical use of human knowledge to extend human abilities and to satisfy our human needs and wants. So it is using knowledge, it is using science, it is using math, and it's applying them, and it's extending our human ability. So we can't do it without this technology, and it satisfies our needs and wants. So remember needs and wants because we're going to come back to that multiple times. It can be a material, it can be a process, but it's anything that's human designed. It can be an object, a process, or a material. If you look at the pictures, you can just see a few. Okay, it's broken down. Technology can be broken down into 6 main groups. You have energy and power, communication, construction, manufacturing, transportation, and biotechnology. So in the next couple slides, you'll see how these play out. So the first one is energy and power. This is the process, component, or systems related to energy, electricity, and the power that makes things run. So if it moves, if it uses electricity, any kind of energy, that would fall under this. If it stores energy, if it generates energy, if it relates to the transfer of energy or power, it could relate to it. You can see I have a couple questions. Think of some devices that use energy. So even the computer you're watching this on, the lights in your house, cars, the motors inside them, engines, thermal power, geothermal power, solar power. There's lots of things that fall under this. We have the second one is communication, and this is very common. Devices or processes that relate to communication of ideas or information. So if it's a technology and it relates to devices or processes that deal with ideas or information, it falls under this category. And for most parts, it's typically electronics are associated with this. So when people come in to my classes and they hear technology, they usually associate that with computers, but they're actually associating with communication technology. So anything that's typically electronics, like cell phones or tablets or computers, even television, radio, Bluetooth, all these different things deal with communication of information. So signals, satellite signals, would fall under this. Even if it's older, like a print version, like the newspaper or letters, would fall under this category. And then the next one is manufacturing. Manufacturing relates to any object or item being made or processed in a factory. So if it's made in a factory, 9 times out of 10, it is manufacturing. It could be a product. But the manufacturing does not just refer to products, it also refers to the tools used for manufacturing, the processes used for manufacturing, and the equipment. There's lots of things that fall under this. In the picture, you can see a lady that's sewing up some kind of clothing or something with material. So the assembly line, it falls under manufacturing. The sewing machine that she is using in this process could be considered manufacturing. The factory in the background of it falls under manufacturing. Anything related to that, even the safety tools related to manufacturing could fall under that. Assembling of electronics, lots of things. But if you say an object, you have to explain that, well, this falls under manufacturing because it was assembled in a factory. Let's go to the next one. Construction, types of technology that deals with houses, bridges, or skyscrapers, playground structures, monuments, materials, equipment, tools, and processes. So these are things that don't move. Buildings do not move. Skyscrapers do not move. Structures do not move. They're built. They're stationary. Playgrounds, they do not move. Monuments, they're kind of different than statues because monuments people go into. So it's kind of, they do not move and people have to go into them. They're that size. Um, but it can be the materials. If you see in the pictures, you can see steel beams. Steel could be a construction material. Maybe concrete blocks. Um, that could be associated with construction, or the equipment such as the boom lift or a crane would fall under this. Transportation. This relates to the moving of people, people or products in cars, ships, airplanes, trains, or other vehicles. So keywords: moving of people and products, and vehicles. So if it's in a vehicle, it is transportation. Or if it is a vehicle, it's related to transportation. It can be products, system, devices, or materials. So going back to the materials, in construction we have steel, but steel is also used in transportation, such as the track that this train is riding on. So in this instance, this steel in this transportation system um, would fall under transportation. You have bridges, which bridges might be associated with a structure, or roads a structure, because they don't move in construction. But when we're talking about transportation, we're referring to the bridges as a transportation um, area. But then you have the traditional cars and ships and planes and all of those other categories as well. Now we have one more category, and it's probably one of my favorites. We have biotechnology, which relates to the use of adapting, altering, or using organisms for biological processes. So what does that mean? It's any technology. So if we go back to our definition of technology, and it meets our wants and needs, and it's humans designed, any technology that relates to organisms or interacts with organisms. So that's kind of broad. But we can also break this down even more into like agriculture technology, where it's clearly dealing with organisms, such as the produce or the vegetables or the grain, um, anything related to those organisms, or even the animals on the farm. Medical technology, such as the heart monitor in the middle of the screen, or the prosthetic arm in the picture to the right. These all things fall under biotechnology because they're interacting with the organism. They are extending our capabilities, which is the original definition of technology, and they're interacting with the organism. So even like DNA testing, or the understanding of DNA, where it's being applied to cloning, or even disease control or curing, that would fall under biotechnology. It's using science. It's applying science, our human knowledge, to this. Um, any kind of uh, engineered produce. So if produce is engineered to do a certain thing, or have a certain taste, or a color, or live in a certain environment, humans had made that. Like they took the information that we knew, and they slowly designed that produce to meet our needs. So we have a couple activities after this, and it's basically looking at a few different pictures that relate to technology, and see if we can identify what it is. So this first one, if we take a look at this, we can clearly see it's a plant. So your mind should automatically go to biotechnology because it's an organism. Now, the plant is not biotechnology, but the using it, the adapting, the altering it, the studying of it could fall under biotechnology. We don't know what they're doing, but it goes into it. The next one is a picture, and if you look closely, you can see um, in the background, you can see like a bathroom, a bedroom, laundry room, study, kitchen. So this is a floor plan of a building. So it's a building, it's a structure. Okay, going back to construction, it's a structure, so it falls under that. But it also might fall under another area. And if you think about that area, it could be dealing with information, because this is communicating information. So you might be able to argue that this is communication technology as well. Another one looks yummy. It's Hershey Kisses. So if we think about what's going on, yes, these are Hershey Kisses, and it looks like they're coming down some kind of belt, and you have an employee working with them. Um, Maybe this falls under manufacturing because it's like the assembly line. It's a process of making these Hershey Kisses. But you could argue another thing, and that would be biotechnology, because biotechnology is the altering of organisms or the use of organisms. And where does chocolate come from? It comes from the chocolate bean, and the chocolate bean comes from a plant, and the plant's an organism. And so we take that plant and we adapt it and we change it and we alter it to get the chocolate. So in that case, it would be clearly biotechnology. Another one is the ship. If you look at it now, you would say, oh, they're building this ship. So building it, they are constructing it. Well, that's kind of a misconception because they're building it, but this is a vehicle. So this would fall under transportation, no doubt. It's a vehicle, moves people or products, but they're not constructing it, they're actually manufacturing it. Because what's the difference between that and a car? There's not a lot. Now, yes, this isn't happening in a factory, but it's still the same concept. They may be using construction equipment, such as the cranes, but they're manufacturing it. If you look on top, you might also be able to see some communication technology as well. And I'm just going to speed up a little bit. We have clearly a medical technology. You might be able to say energy and power because of the power it uses. Okay, we have some satellites. You probably say communication technology because it's communicating information and they send those signals. But you also have solar panels. And if we know about anything about solar panels, we know that they gather energy from the sun. So energy, so it falls into that energy and power thing. Train's a form of transportation. Now this is a picture of a car being manufactured, so we can say it's manufacturing. We see the equipment used in manufacturing. We see the materials. You might be able to argue transportation because it is a car that's being assembled. You might be able to say energy and power because of the large amount of energy that we're seeing as the welder is doing that. Now, if you haven't figured out, the key is to be able to argue your point. So take the car. This has multiple technologies in one. So we have the cars, clearly transportation. It's a vehicle. But we also have manufacturing because it has materials and processes and tools, that the assembly process that goes through to make this car. But it could be construction because of the roads it drives on and the materials it uses or that the cars drive on. Could be energy and power because of the gas and the power brakes and the battery and the engine and all of the things that use energy and power in a vehicle. Could be communication because of like Bluetooth, radio, all these communication technologies that get put in cars lately that are expanding and becoming more technical. But you could also say bio-related technology, and this says seat ergonomics, but you could think of ethanol, which comes from a plant such as sugarcane or corn or soybeans. You could say biodiesel because biodiesel is biological diesel. Comes from plants and is formed to diesel. But seat ergonomics has to do with how it is adapted to fit around the body and just everything in the car. Even the steering wheel, the way it's shaped for hands to grip around, and the correct lengths for our legs to reach the gas pedals, and the way the handles are shaped and the way the seats are shaped, and all these things are shaped around the human body in a way it's bio-related technology. So that is a simple intro technology lesson, and this is kind of the building blocks of technology. And we interact with technology, and it's not just electronics, it's not just cell phones and computers, it's so much more. And if you understand that, we can build on this and recognize that technology is everywhere, and you interact with it almost 24/7. So thank you for listening.